Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of Confabulation. Today, I'm with Janae and I'm Bethel, as you all know, and we have some very special guests. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Kelly?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelly Robinson. I'm the executive director of our sister's house. Nice to be here with everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Betty Blakeney, and I'm the operations manager for our sister's house.
Thank you, Miss Betty and Kelly, for being with us today. So our sister's house is a domestic violence advocacy organization based in Tacoma, Washington. And we provide advocacy and education for victims and survivors of domestic violence. If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, you can call us at 253-383-4275 or visit our website at oursistershouse.com. Today for Confabulation, we will be focusing on the history of our sister's house and kind of what OSH might have in store for the future. So, Johnny, you can kick off with the first question.
The first question I want to ask you all is what made you all want to create an incorporation such as Our Sister's House?
Well, since I was one of the beginning folks, I guess I can answer that. My sister-in-law and I had just retired. She was she worked for the airlines and she volunteered in the Tacoma school district. And I had done nursing for like 25 years and I had retired. She had experience in the school district of seeing young teenage girls just being kind of left out of the system. You know, there were services surrounding all the other ethnic groups, but the Black girls ended up going into the juvenile justice system or the diversion system. So we decided that we wanted to do something to help give back to the community, and she wanted to do this group home for runaway kids, runaway girls. And our dream included dressing them up in little nice dresses and patent leather shoes. But we soon found out that that wasn't what was needed. We opened the group home we had 8 beds, so we were able to take in 8 girls at a time. And these were girls who had run away, some of them as many as 37 times from foster care or temporary care. And as we worked with them, the more we saw these girls, the more we interacted with them, we learned that they were also victims of domestic violence, sexual abuse, just a plethora of injustices. So that was the basis for us opening Our Sister's House.
And what kind of difficulties, if any, did you guys run into during this process of creating Our Sister's House?
Well, we were pretty well received in general, but funding was a big issue. We partnered with Catholic Community Services. We had a contract with Juvenile Rehabilitation Services, but it was not enough funding to really do the things that needed to be done for these girls. So funding was a big issue. We had planned to work with teenage girls, but one of our youngest clients was only 9 years old. But the biggest hassle was when we were asked by the state to consider the girls who were adjudicated. And we did that for several years. We brought them in, we helped them get jobs, we helped them finish high school with a GED or graduation, and we helped them do community services. And then one day out of the blue, the state decided they didn't want to do that anymore. They came to the house and shackled the 8 girls that we had there and took them back to Echo Glen. That just about blew us out of the water.
how did you all like, what kind of happened after that? Because, I mean, it's just out of nowhere that happens.
Yes.
It was.
We had another program going at the time. It was called New Directions. And New Directions was meeting the need for families with teenagers who were showing violence within the home. These kids were in the diversion system, and that program was attempting to keep them from going into the juvenile courts. But since we had found that these girls were all involved in some type of domestic violence, we had laid the foundation for applying for funding and changing our program to serve victims of domestic violence. So that's how that segued into that.
Did you see any of those girls that you had served come back or like find a way to connect with you guys again, or was it kind of just like a fresh chapter?
Well, we did have some encounters in the community with a few of the girls. Some of them had been successful and had gone on to have better lives. I can't say that was a big number, but the girls who were there, who we had from juvenile court, many of them were able to change their lives while they were there because they did finish school, they did get good jobs. And it was nice because the community, some of the small community businesses hired our girls.
Yeah, I can add that there was one day I was out in the parking lot of our old facility, our old office, and this car came in and turned around, and she saw the sign and she said, "Is this our sister's house?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "I was in our sister's house." I said, "You worked for us?" She was like, "No, I was in our sister's house." And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "I was one of the girls that was in the group home." And I did remember her. She was a real estate agent. She was doing very well. She was driving a beautiful black Cadillac, and she told me she had 2 kids, and she gave me her business card, which I still have. I really would like to reach out to her, but I was so happy for her. I was so proud of her. She was like one of our almost notorious girls because she had quite a crime. She had committed a robbery that she had orchestrated. So she was like one of our high risk offender to reoffend. Mm-hmm. But to see that she was doing well, that really was amazing.
Right.
And to hear that from you, Kelli, that leads me to my next question of how do you all think Our Sister's House has impacted the community since you guys have opened?
I think that's a great question. I'm hoping that, through all the efforts we've had, the fact that we've been able to sustain and maintain a program since 1995, that we are seen as an asset and a resource and are considered valuable to our community. I love having, you all, the young staff with your innovative and creative ideas that help us to remain relevant and to continue to fill the gaps and services that we know exist out here.
So I had a question about culturally specific care, because I know that's something Our Sister's House really prides itself in. And it's also, if I'm not mistaken, like OSH is one of the only nonprofits, like VV nonprofits, that actually has culturally specific care in the state of Washington. So I wanted to ask you both, what is culturally specific care? Why is it important, and how have you seen clients benefit from it?
You want me to go first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's an excellent question as well. And I think I need you to say the first part again, just to.
So, like,
a great question.
What is culturally specific care, and why is it important? That's like the
okay.
first.
Yes. So, culturally specific care is care that is given without bias, without stereotyping. It's listening. It's making our clients feel comfortable the minute they either come through our door or reach us through the phone, or our initial contact is comfort. It's, meeting clients where they are without judgment. And it's important because there's not a lot of it around in this area. And in particular for Black women, we are seen as someone who can take a lot of pain. We don't hurt easily. We're strong. We're not heard. So it's important that those stereotypes be broken down. And, because domestic violence is something that permeates our culture. It's something that is learned. It is seen from generational. So at some point, it has to be explained that this is not the way relationships should look. And so there's a lot of education that needs to happen. There's a lot of barriers and stereotypes that have to be broken down. So it's got to be done right, because if you don't do it carefully, you can mess things up, and that person will not feel like they can trust anyone, because trust is a big issue as well. So it's very careful. It's very specialized. So that is why, to me, it is so important.
Yes, I'd like to echo that about the educational piece. And when we think about it, we think, well, we have to educate other cultures about ours, but we have to educate our own people. Being in the Pacific Northwest, I think we're kind of lagging behind in some of the other communities across the country as far as being aware of our special needs, the special focus we need to have in our communities. And one of the areas that we have tried to target in the past, and I'm sure you guys are doing it now, some of the Black churches, some of the leaders in the churches are just, a little bit behind in promoting cultural awareness in our communities.
And then next, how have you seen clients benefit from OSH's culturally specific care?
So I have seen the gratitude, the realization that that they couldn't have done this without our help. Natalie Price, who runs our support group, Sister Seeking Change, she sends me the feedback that she gets from their clients, and it's overwhelmingly positive. They are uplifted, they are motivated, they are empowered. It's just, we have survivor stories. We have stories of people who have been successfully able to leave their abusive relationships, flee to other states, other family members. And it's just an overwhelming gratefulness and satisfaction. And that's what keeps me going in doing this work.
So I have a question for you all. I want to know, what is the hardest thing about working in this profession with victims of domestic violence and seeing that, within our community and working closely with these clients?
So for me, there's been two things that have been hard. It's been getting the recognition that I feel like, our Sister's House deserves. Not so much as far as being, praised, but just just acknowledging the fact that we do this work. There's certain groups in this community that don't recognize us yet. We've been here for a long time. It's 27 years, and we're still not like one of the top recognized agencies within the city of Tacoma, to be honest. So that's been kind of difficult. It's being respected, being, valued, or made to feel that we're valued by, the city that we work in. And some of the difficulties in working with the clients has been when we spend all our time and energy, and either they're not truthful with us about what's really going on, or they end up going back to their abuser. And we know that the mistrust is dealt with because of the whole mindset of the power and control and the PTSD and the anxiety and all the things that come with being a survivor of violence and trauma. They do what they do to survive. So we all we know that comes with not always being truthful. So it just makes us harder for when the next person comes to us. So we have to make sure again that we meet people where they are. We try to be without bias and judgment. But that, to me, those are some of the hardest things.
I think Kelly covered it all.
And I think that goes to show just like one, this is a Black woman, like most, like pretty much in leadership and like the top positions run nonprofit. And I think it's just another example of how like Black women are not really just recognized, period.
Mhm.
Like you all are doing like historic work, culturally relevant work, and just like something that the state hasn't seen before. And the fact that like I feel like I definitely think if it was any other demographic, it would probably get a lot more recognition. But yeah, I think honestly that's just like a prime. I just like further proves like how important OSH is, I think.
Thank you. Yep, and that's so true, Bethel. I saw there's a special on Netflix that did a like a docu-series on Black women in business, and they kind of did the hierarchy, and Black women are at the bottom as far as any kind of business, for profit, nonprofit, whatever it is. It's white men, white women, Black men, and then Black women at the bottom as far as recognition, funding, being taken serious, all of that. And I was like, that just resonated with me because that's exactly what I experienced.
Just to kind of shift gears a little bit, what is a favorite memory that you guys have had with anybody, I guess, like a client, with an OSH event or a staff member that you'll never forget?
Well, mine includes that little 9-year-old girl that I was telling you about in the beginning. She came to us. She was still sucking her thumb. She was still sleeping in the bed with her mom, but she had been through so much trauma. And I just see her little helpless soul coming to our sister's house, being brought there by a police car. And we kept her, I think we had her for about a year, and she was finally allowed to go back home. She was the primary grown-up in her family. I think her mom and her dad both had some developmental issues, and she had 2 little sisters. But she was sent back home. And I saw her years later. We got her when she was 9, and I saw her when she was 19. And she had married. She, I believe she was a Muslim, and she had a child, and she was so grown and mature. It was just so nice to see her those years later that she had been able to survive, and she was very thankful to us at our sister's house.
And for me, there's many. I think one of my favorites that comes to mind right now is we had an advocate. Her name was Barbara McLaren. She worked for us for 9 years, I think longer than anybody. She was our DSHS advocate, and Barbara passed. And to me, it was so important to keep her memory and her legacy alive because she loved her job. She loved working at DSHS and seeing the clients. She would do anything we asked. And so one year, the year after she passed, at our fundraiser, we created a fund, which is called, the Angel Fund is actually named after Barbara. It's Barbara Ann McLaren, or Babs Fund. And we just try to keep her memory alive. She has a big family here in Tacoma. Her brother is a pastor at a really big church here. And her mom just died. And her mom was like 84 years old and used to come and pick up Barbara's check. She would come up the steps. The little lady was in such good health. And her family just really meant a lot to us. And so Barbara McLaren, she was out. We'll never forget her. And I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure we keep her legacy alive.
Oh, sorry.
So I had another question for you all. I want to know, because previously you all just mentioned that it's hard to get that recognition, from the community and things like that. So how do you all plan on making people more informed about what our sister's house is, and how do you plan on, working towards that recognition and getting that praise that you all deserve?
Thank you. That's a great question, Annie.
Mhm.
Well, one way is this podcast. I appreciate the work that and how this has grown and developed into what it is today. I'm really proud of you and Bethel for this. Other ways, we are partnering with some mainstream organizations. Our sisters, there are other people that agree with you, and so foundations such as the Greater Tacoma Community Foundation, Tacoma Boat Builders, the Juvenile Court, some of our community partners are really helping me kind of spread the word. And we have also just, fingers crossed, we are going to be getting a board fellow from the University of Washington. And so one of the things that, if this goes well for us, we would have them do is help us with brand and marketing to the community so that they are aware of us, and also recruiting board members who are more community connected so they can help as well. So there is a plan. And I think this, having you all in this vehicle right here has helped me kind of identify that, because I get a lot of questions about our podcast and our social media. They want to know who's doing it. Are you like manning it? Are you microman? No, I hired great people and they run with it. They take my ideas and they just make them happen. So again, it's my team, this team that we have created, that is helping to make those things happen.
This is not a question, but I just want to point out that I love the fact that you created the team of, young, innovative people, because it's the mindset, the world is always changing. And for us to be, very informed and have these different ideas that we can pitch to you, and you can present them to us like in your own way. I just really love and appreciate that. That is actually like the best part about working for this incorporation, is that the team is just so solid and we're all so different, but that makes us come together and have these great ideas so that OSH can continuously evolve.
That was, and I don't even know how that happened, but I went through some trying, ways with different staff members, and this doesn't work for everybody. So I went through some rough patches trying to figure how to get you all. So I think it was I'm a faith-based person, and so I think it was through that help that helped this all come together like this.
I believe that too. I'm a faith-based person too, and I believe in prayer. And I've just been so thankful for the staff that Kelli has been able to recruit. I've noticed the energy that's around. I noticed the even the upbeat attitude with each of you. Putting up with the old lady in the back office is nice also. But I'm just very thankful for each of you. When I go through your names every week on the payroll, I say, praise the Lord for this one and that one and this one over here too, because I think you have really helped us reach the ultimate goals of our sister's house.
Yeah, and she asked, "Who is this and who is that?" Even though she is she's got her finger on the pulse. She's in the background, but she wants to know who each of you are and where you come from, and so and I appreciate that too, because my mom, this was her and her sister-in-law's passion, and this was their dream, and I'm just trying to do what I can to keep it alive and keep it growing. And I just feel like, we are in a really great place right now. And it's because of you all. I couldn't have done this without you.
I would just like to echo like everything Johnny said. I completely agree with. And like, I think I've heard from pretty much everyone, like how great, like we have this great dynamic on the staff where we all come from different like parts of our like in our journey in life. And like I learned from people that are older than me, and I also learned from those who are like who came in after me. And I don't think there's like any harm in doing things in like an unorthodox way. Like I feel like at least like before I came to OSH, when I was applying to other nonprofits, it's like they all wanted like 10, 15 years of experience, or like even like 5 to 7 years of experience. And in my head, I was just like, it's like times have changed. Like it's okay to get somebody who might not have that much experience or that much on their resume. And I think that in investing, like in when you're investing in people who might not traditionally get the role that you're hiring them for, and in this case, like a lot of younger people, especially young Black folks, I think it's really just like it's like a testimony in like the quality of the like work that our sister's house is producing and like giving to the community. I think it really shows that your business plan is working. But kind of like I had another question that also came in mind when you were talking about how to better reach the community and put yourself out there. I was wondering if there's a certain demographic that you all wish that OSH could like, I guess, better service or better promote themselves to.
Well, because of, changing times, people are moving into our community. We want to reach all of the Black and African diaspora, excuse me. So eventually we know that domestic violence permeates the African community as well. So we need to incorporate that as well. That's why I keep saying Black, because, Black does not, African American does not encompass everybody, because everyone is, there's all kinds of Black people. So we really want to be able to reach the African community because, we do see them more moving into Pierce County, and they need to know that our services are for them as well. And we want to be culturally relevant to them as well, too. So I think that's the next thing that I would say we need to kind of put on our forefront moving forward into this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next question is kind of relevant to what's going on right now. So, how has it been running our sister's house during this pandemic?
Well, let me answer that.
Yes.
Okay. It has actually been amazing. What has happened because of Zoom and meeting people in these spaces, I have been able to connect with people I've never been able to connect with before. And I have developed relationships and partnerships with, like I said, Tacoma Boat Builders. Who would have thought that our sister's house in Tacoma Boat Builders, who is run by, a woman, would want to, has seen value in our work. She has connections to this community that I don't, because, just the way it is. And she's brought, people to us. We've gotten funding because of them. So it's just been the network. My network has expanded. I have people that are saying, our sister's house needs to be seen and recognized, and they are helping to make that happen. The Greater Tacoma Community Foundation has been really excellent as far as supporting us and making sure that other funders and other, influential community members know about us. So, and then with the CARES Act and the FIPSA funds that has been strategically aligned because of how COVID affects the Black community, that has put our sister's house in line for funding that we have never seen before. And so that has allowed us to do, all kinds of innovative things. We were able to help with, I wasn't someone who was trying to promote the vaccine, but we were able to help offset some costs for those who went to get the vaccine. So it's just been, and then there's still, the FIPSA money is still coming in, and it's still, COVID is still impacting our community. So as long as these federal dollars are still coming in, and they're really dedicated to helping Black organizations and Black community, that puts us in a good position right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge blessing. I just can't say that enough. That's a huge blessing.
Right.
I agree. So if someone was interested in working in this kind of profession, how would you advise them to take care of themselves and in a field like this, as far as
Self
burnouts and things like that?
Yes, that's a great question, Johnny. Self-care is so important. That is one of the things that we kind of ask when we interview. You know, making sure you already have that in your forefront, that's something that you do, and if not, we encourage it. Because this work is tough, we have adjusted our work week. We're going down to a 35-hour work week, and in that extra 5 hours, we are encouraging you to get some self-care, whatever that looks like for you. If it's just laying in the bed, but hopefully it's more than just laying in the bed, but exercising, reading, whatever it is that you do that helps you disconnect from this work for that time period, so you will not burn out, because that's one of the things that I do fear, hearing these stories and being faced with people's trauma and their crisis, and not being able to put that down when you leave in the afternoon. It's important for your well-being and mental health that you take that time. And if you need time off, we don't object. We just ask that you don't be gone forever. But it's just but if you need that time, we encourage you to take it. And I've never told anybody they couldn't have a day off. I would never do that, because life happens, and you need to be able to take care of yourself and your family.
And then, did you have anything you wanted to add, Miss Betty?
Not really. I do believe in self-care, even though lots of times I don't practice it myself. But I do believe in self-care, and I was glad that we were able to initiate the 35-hour week for our full-time people. I just think Kelli has done a really good job with her staff, in her selection and in her communication with them. And I think that's one of the other things that has helped our sister's house to grow and to flourish as much as it has in the community.
I didn't want to leave you out, so I wanted to make sure that you had space to talk.
Thank
So
you.
for my last question, before we wrap things up, where do you see OSH in 10 years? Or I guess I could reframe it a bit. Where would you like to be with our sister's house in in a few years?
Well, for me, I would like, and Bethel, you need to come and see our office space. Johnny, have you been by to see it yet?
I have not been yet, but it is
Okay.
on my list of things to do.
All right, when we get back, you got to come and spend some time with us. But my idea is that we be able to have that entire floor that we're on right now, for office space, to run our programs, that's how big our sister's house would be, that we either would have that whole floor that we're on, or we had our own building in the city of Tacoma. I see us continuing to be an asset to the African American and the Black community here, and if not, maybe stretching into South King County. We do get a lot of calls from other counties, and so to not be bound by one county, to have funding that let us kind of float around, maybe the whole state if needed, or at least Western Washington. That would be ideal as well, because right now most of our funding is bound to Pierce County. So be able to help people from other counties. I work with a couple of friends from the East Coast, and they want to know, can they refer clients to us? And I say yes, and I don't, because we don't want to turn anyone away, but to be able to help people from everywhere, women from everywhere, to be able to take our Confabulation and it become a really big, strong podcast would be excellent. So I have everything that we're doing. I would like to see it on a grand scale.
Anybody want to add anything before I wrap up, or?
I think that this was an informative podcast, and since Confabulation is centered around our sister's house, I feel like this episode is important just simply because it goes into, the history and what it's been through and where it is now and the expectations of it in the future. And I think that this was a great session today.
I agree.
I agree. Thank you for
I
having
agree.
us. And I also wanted to add one thing that was really important to my mom and my aunt Sharon was our sister's house also meant helping sisters, helping Black women who were coming out of college to get a foot up when other employers wouldn't hire them. We wanted to give young Black women or Black men as well chances in the workforce. Get some experience under their belt. For a long time, my mom thought this was entry level work. Well, now I don't think it's entry level work. We're pretty specialized. I wouldn't just, we want people with good skills and to hone those skills while they're with us. We don't expect people to stay with us forever, but if you want to, you can. But, I just want to make sure we put that out there as well, that our sister's house meant our old tagline was sisters helping sisters. And behind the scenes, that really is true.
Thank you once again, Miss Bettye and Miss Kelli. We really appreciate your time and your labor and just like everything you do for OSH and for the greater community as well. So this week, I'm actually not going to be dropping a Black History Month trivia hint just because I want to redirect you to our Instagram. I've been posting hints all throughout the past couple of days. And since tonight's going to be our first trivia night, and I'm not sure if you're going to listen to this episode before then, I'll create a highlight on our Instagram of all the hints. And so you can use that as a cheat sheet if you decide to attend our Black History Month trivia night. And you can sign up, go through our Facebook page and to our event, and there's a link there through our link tree as well on Instagram. And of course, you can just contact us if you're having trouble navigating that. And with that, we are all with our Sister's House, a domestic violence organization that provides advocacy and education for victims and survivors of domestic violence. If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, you can call us at 253-383-4275 or visit our website at oursistershouse.com. Thank you so much for listening, and